Have you ever wondered why at the very moment you feel lost, something unexpected happens that suddenly shakes your heart? Maybe you overheard a sentence that pierced your soul. Maybe you stumbled upon a verse that felt like it was written just for you. Or maybe life pushed you into a difficulty that forced you to stop and think. These are not accidents. These are messages sent to you at the exact time you needed them most. When you look back at your life, you will realize that there were moments that did not make sense at the time, but later became turning points that shaped who you are today. That delay that frustrated you, the rejection that broke you, the person who left you, the sudden change of plans, all of these events might have felt random in the moment, but they were never random. They were written, measured, and placed with precision by the one who knows what you do not know. Every single thing you experience is part of a greater design, and in that design are messages carefully directed at you. We often think of communication with Allah as something extraordinary, something that requires a miracle. Yet, divine messages are woven into the ordinary flow of life. They come in the form of coincidences that are not coincidences at all. You may overhear a statement that strikes your heart at exactly the right time, or you may find yourself listening to a reminder that feels like it was tailored for your circumstances. That is how Allah communicates. His wisdom unfolds through subtle signs, and if you have eyes that see and a heart that reflects, you will know that nothing was ever accidental. Consider the events you once questioned. Why did that door close when you desperately wanted it to open? Why did that person walk away when you thought you needed them? Why did life push you down a path you never imagined for yourself? These moments are not random occurrences, they are messages. A closed door may be protection. A broken relationship may be redirection. A sudden obstacle may be prevention from greater harm. What looks like chaos on the surface is in fact divine order unfolding in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Think about how precise the timing always is. Guidance does not arrive too early, and it is never too late. It arrives exactly when you are ready to receive it, even if you do not realize it at first. The verse you read in the Qur'an, the advice you hear from someone, or the struggle you go through, all of them are delivered at the moment your soul most needs to wake up. If they came earlier, you might not have listened. If they came later, you might have lost the chance. But Allah, in His perfect knowledge, delivers the message right on time. The danger lies in dismissing these signs as mere coincidence. When something unsettles your heart, it is not random. That inner tug, that voice of conscience, it is a signal. When life forces you to pause through hardship, it is not random. That difficulty is a message to stop running in the wrong direction. Even the blessings you receive at unexpected times are messages, teaching you gratitude and reminding you of the source from which they came. The world may tell you it is chance, but faith tells you it is divine communication. What separates those who are guided from those who remain lost is not whether the message was sent, it is whether the message was noticed. Allah does not leave His servant without direction. He surrounds you with messages every day, in the people you meet, the words you hear, and the experiences you face. But if you choose to close your eyes and ignore them, then you will live as though the signs never existed. The message will have reached you, but you will have failed to respond. So the next time something shifts your path, whether through joy or through pain, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what is Allah trying to tell me here? Because one thing is certain, His messages are never random. They are intentional, precise, and perfectly timed. And if you learn to see them, your entire perspective on life will change. You will stop viewing hardships as punishments and start seeing them as directions. You will stop seeing coincidences as luck and start recognizing them as guidance. You will live with more peace, knowing that everything that touches your life carries meaning. This realization is one of the greatest forms of comfort a believer can experience, to know that nothing is without purpose, that every moment carries a message, and that Allah is constantly guiding you, even when you are not aware of it. When a person goes through hardship, their immediate thought is often, why me? Why now? Pain and struggle weigh heavily on the heart, and it is natural to feel confused, hurt, or even broken. Yet in the wisdom of Allah, hardships are not simply difficulties to endure. They are messages, reminders, and turning points designed to bring a person closer to Him. What seems like a setback in your eyes may actually be a step forward in His plan for you. The truth is, many of the greatest changes in people's lives do not come through ease and comfort, but through trials that force them to reflect, realign, and rediscover the path they had lost. Think about it. When life is smooth, when every door opens easily, people often forget the one who granted them those blessings. They become distracted, immersed in their desires, and absorbed by the world. But when hardship arrives, suddenly everything changes. The same heart that once felt arrogant now bends in humility. The same tongue that was once careless now cries out in prayer. The same eyes that were blind to guidance begin to search for light. This is not coincidence. This is the hidden wisdom of hardship. It shakes you so that you awaken. It breaks you so that you return to the one who can mend you. Sometimes the message of a hardship is protection. You may lose a job you thought was essential, only to later realize it was keeping you away from opportunities or environments that would have harmed your faith. You may face rejection in a relationship and feel devastated, only to realize years later that what you thought was love would have pulled you away from your true purpose. You may struggle financially and wonder why provision is tight, but in reality, it may be keeping you from arrogance, reminding you that all sustenance comes from Allah and not from your own effort. In every hardship, there is a layer of mercy hidden beneath the surface. Other times, the message of hardship is purification. Human beings are not perfect. They slip, they fall, they forget, and they sin. If life continued with only comfort and ease, the weight of mistakes might bury a soul. But hardship cleanses. It washes away arrogance, purifies intentions, and strips the heart of pride. It reminds you that you are weak and in constant need of the one who is all-powerful. Without hardship, many people would never taste the sweetness of repentance, nor would they know the beauty of relying completely upon Allah. Another powerful message within hardship is direction. You may be walking down a path convinced that it is right for you, but then obstacles appear one after another, forcing you to stop. At first, it feels unfair, but later you realize those obstacles were steering you away from harm. Hardship can be like a signpost telling you this road is not meant for you. Turn back before it is too late, and though it may sting, it saves you from greater pain. What is remarkable is that hardships, no matter how painful, are never wasted. For a believer, every tear shed, every moment of patience, every second of endurance is recorded and rewarded. More importantly, the lesson contained within those hardships often becomes the turning point that changes a person's life forever. There are countless stories of people who only found true faith, purpose, and clarity after enduring a struggle they once wished to avoid. So when hardship comes your way, instead of asking only, why me? Try to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? What message is hidden within this trial? That shift in perspective transforms suffering into guidance. It turns pain into purpose. It allows the heart to see that what felt like breaking was actually building. And remember, hardship is temporary, but the lessons it carries can last forever. Allah does not burden a soul with more than it can bear. And with every difficulty comes ease. The storm you are in today is not meant to drown you but to cleanse you, to push you closer to the shore of faith, and to remind you that Allah never leaves His servant without a message. Sometimes, the clearest messages are not written in comfort but carved into your heart through the trials you endure. There are times in life when everything around you appears fine on the surface, yet deep inside, you feel unsettled. You go through your daily routine, you smile, you speak, you engage with people, but there is an uneasiness in your chest that refuses to fade. That restlessness of the heart is not random. It is not meaningless discomfort. It is one of the most powerful messages Allah places within you to guide your steps. The heart is not just a physical organ that keeps you alive, it is also a compass, and when it starts to tremble with unease, it is often a signal that something is wrong with the path you are on. When you are about to make a decision that is harmful to your faith, you will notice this silent alarm. It might be subtle at first, but the more you try to ignore it, the heavier it becomes. A friendship that drags you away from your values, a business deal that tempts you with dishonesty, or a habit that distances you from Allah. On the outside, these may look beneficial or enjoyable, but the heart knows better. That knot in your chest, that inability to feel at peace, is Allah's way of reminding you, this is not for you. Step back before it consumes you. Many people mistake this inner discomfort as stress, anxiety, or confusion. But if you reflect carefully, you will see the difference. Stress often comes from external pressure, but restlessness of the heart is an internal warning. It is not about workload, deadlines, or challenges. It is about the condition of your soul. When your actions and choices align with what pleases Allah, you feel a serenity that no worldly success can match. But when you drift away, the tranquility is taken away, replaced with unease until you turn back. This is mercy disguised as discomfort. Think of how many times in your life you were about to make a choice, and something in you felt unsettled. Maybe it was an opportunity that looked perfect on paper, but your heart couldn't rest with it. Maybe it was a conversation that seemed harmless, but deep down you felt guilty afterward. That is guidance. Allah has placed within every person a fitra, a natural inclination toward truth. When you are close to it, you feel calm. When you move away from it, your soul resists. That resistance is a message, and if you ignore it repeatedly, the heart becomes numb and the alarms grow silent. This is why it is so important to pay attention to the state of your heart. It is not enough to look at appearances or what others say. You must learn to ask yourself, does my heart feel at peace with this choice? The Prophet Muhammad once said that righteousness is what gives tranquility to the heart, and sin is what wavers inside you even if people justify it. That restlessness, that inner hesitation is Allah protecting you from making a mistake that will harm your soul. The restlessness of the heart also appears when you are far from remembrance. You may have everything, wealth, status, comfort, and success, but something feels empty. That emptiness is another message. It is telling you that the heart was not created to be filled with material things alone. It was created to find peace in the remembrance of its creator. If you neglect prayer, if you abandon reflection, if you forget the purpose of your existence, your heart will remind you by refusing to settle. That ache you feel in moments of silence is not without reason. It is the soul yearning to reconnect with the one who gave it life. The question is, how do you respond to this message? Some drown out the restlessness with distractions, burying themselves in entertainment, work, or desires so they do not have to listen. Others pause, reflect, and turn back to Allah, allowing the discomfort to guide them to real peace. The difference between these two responses is the difference between being guided and being lost. So the next time your heart feels unsettled, do not dismiss it. Sit with it, reflect on it, ask Allah for clarity, and seek the strength to follow where it points. Because that discomfort is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. It is a divine message sent to steer you away from harm and pull you back to what will truly satisfy your soul. When you honor that message, you will discover a peace deeper than anything this world can offer, the peace of a heart aligned with the will of its creator. One of the most remarkable ways Allah sends guidance is through the people He places in your life. Often, you may not even realize that a conversation, a piece of advice, or even a casual remark carries a message meant specifically for you. Human beings are not placed into our lives randomly. Every encounter, every friendship, every interaction is written with precision. Sometimes a person enters your life to support you, sometimes to test you, and sometimes to deliver a message you were meant to hear. The role of people around you is far greater than companionship or social ties. It is part of the system through which Allah guides His servants. Think back to times when you were confused about a decision, or when your heart felt heavy. Out of nowhere, someone close to you may have spoken words that clarified everything. Maybe it was a parent reminding you to pray, a friend urging you to stay away from something harmful, or even a stranger who mentioned something in passing that struck your heart. These are not coincidences. They are moments chosen and orchestrated by Allah to reach you in a form you would understand. A reminder delivered by a human tongue can sometimes pierce the heart more than anything else. At other times, Allah may send you people who challenge you or even criticize you. While it can be painful to hear harsh words, often there is a message hidden within them. The criticism of others may push you to reflect on your actions, to reevaluate your path, or to correct a mistake you had ignored. Even those who oppose you, who hurt you, or who walk away from you can serve as messengers of guidance. Their departure may be the very push you needed to stand on your own feet, to rely less on creation and more on the Creator. There are also people whose very presence is a message. Meeting someone who radiates faith, humility, and good character can be a reminder of what you aspire to be. Seeing their devotion may awaken something inside you, reminding you of your own neglected duties. In this way, Allah places role models, both near and far, to keep your compass pointed in the right direction. You may not even exchange words with such a person, but simply observing them is enough to change you. Family often plays a central role in delivering these divine messages. A mother's reminder, a father's concern, a sibling's advice, these are among the most direct channels through which Allah guides His servants. Even when the words sound ordinary, they carry weight because they come from those who love you most. It is easy to dismiss such reminders when you hear them often, but their consistency is part of the message. It is Allah's way of ensuring that the truth reaches you again and again until your heart can no longer ignore it. The beauty of this system is that Allah can use anyone, even someone you least expect, to reach you. A passerby, a co-worker, a teacher, or even a child may speak something that strikes you at the exact moment you needed to hear it. This is why believers are encouraged to stay humble and listen. You never know which words from whose mouth will be the message written for your guidance. To ignore people arrogantly is to risk ignoring the very sign you have been asking for in your prayers. But here lies the responsibility when these messages come through people. You must learn to distinguish between guidance and distraction. Not every voice deserves your attention, and not every piece of advice carries truth. Some people mislead whether intentionally or unintentionally. The key is to measure everything you hear against the standard of revelation and conscience. If it aligns with truth, then accept it as a message, no matter how unexpected the source. If it contradicts what is right, then recognize it as a test, not guidance. Ultimately, the people around you are mirrors reflecting lessons you need to learn. Some show you what to pursue, others show you what to avoid, and many show you aspects of yourself that you could not see on your own. Each interaction holds meaning, and if you open your heart, you will realize that Allah has been sending you messages through others all along. The challenge is whether you will recognize them, appreciate them, and act upon them before the opportunity passes. For guidance is not always written in the sky. Sometimes it is spoken through the lips of those standing right beside you. There are countless ways Allah sends guidance to His servants, but among the most direct and powerful are the Qur'an and prayer. These two are not simply rituals or practices. They are channels of divine communication that connect a human being to their Creator in a way nothing else can. Within them lies clarity for confusion, peace for restlessness, and answers for questions that no one else could resolve. Yet many people underestimate their power, treating them as routines rather than as living conversations with Allah. When the Qur'an is recited with sincerity and prayer is offered with a present heart, messages come to a person in ways that cannot be explained by coincidence. The Qur'an is not just a book to be read, it is a book to be lived. Every verse carries guidance, every story carries wisdom, and every command carries purpose. There are moments when you open the Qur'an randomly, and the words before your eyes feel as though they were revealed for you and you alone. A verse about patience comes when you are overwhelmed with trials. A verse about gratitude reaches you when you are drowning in complaints. A verse about forgiveness appears when your heart is hardened by anger. These moments are not random. They are divine responses. They are messages tailored for your soul, delivered at the exact time you need them. But the Quran only reveals its messages to those who approach it with sincerity. If you open it absent-mindedly, treating it like a ritual rather than a lifeline, its words may pass before your eyes without reaching your heart. However, if you open it with desperation, with a prayer on your lips asking Allah for clarity, you will find that the verses strike you in ways that cannot be ignored. The Quran speaks to every person according to their state. To one, it brings comfort. To another, it brings warning. To another, it brings strength. The message changes, but the source remains the same. Prayer is another direct way Allah communicates. When you raise your hands in supplication, you are not just reciting words. You are opening a door to a private conversation with the one who knows you best. The act of prayer itself is a message, reminding you that you are never abandoned, never voiceless, and never without help. Many times people cry out to Allah in moments of despair, unsure if their words have been heard, only to find that in the days or weeks that follow, doors begin to open, circumstances begin to shift, and hearts begin to change. That sequence is not coincidence. It is the unfolding of an answer. Yet sometimes, the answer to a prayer is not what you expected. You may ask for something, and instead of receiving it, you face obstacles that prevent you from obtaining it. That too is a message. It is Allah's way of saying, this is not good for you. Trust me, I know what you do not know. Other times, the answer is delayed, testing your patience and faith, reminding you that divine timing is always perfect. And sometimes, the answer is given in a form you do not immediately recognize, a new opportunity, a change of heart, or even a hardship that pushes you closer to Allah. The connection between Quran and prayer is also profound. Often, what you beg for in prayer is answered through the verses you encounter in the Quran. You might ask for strength, and then find yourself reading a verse about perseverance. You might ask for guidance, and then come across a passage about the straight path. This connection is one of the clearest signs that Allah communicates with His servants, weaving together the words you speak to Him with the words He reveals to you. The question is whether you are listening. How often do people rush through prayer, recite without reflection, and close the Quran without absorbing its meaning? In doing so, they close their own ears to the very messages they are begging for. Guidance is not absent, attention is. If you slow down, reflect, and approach these acts with sincerity, you will discover that Allah has been answering you all along. So never underestimate the power of the Quran and prayer. They are not abstract rituals, they are living connections, direct lines between the Creator and His creation. Within them lie the messages you seek, the answers you crave, and the peace you long for. If you make them your companions, you will never feel abandoned, for you will realize that every verse and every supplication carries with it a response, a reminder, a message from Allah guiding you exactly where you need to be. Guidance is not only about receiving messages, it is about how you respond to them. Allah, in His mercy, constantly sends reminders, signs, and lessons to His servants. These may come through the Quran, through prayer, through hardship, or through the people around you. But the outcome of these messages depends entirely on the state of your heart and the choice you make when you encounter them. Two people can go through the exact same experience. One sees it as a message and transforms, while the other dismisses it as coincidence and remains unchanged. The difference lies not in whether the message was sent, but in whether it was accepted. Think of how many people recite the Quran every day. The verses are the same, The words are identical, yet the effect is different. For some, the Qur'an opens their hearts, softens their souls, and guides their actions. For others, the same words pass over their tongues but leave no impact at all. The difference lies in the response. One person opens the Qur'an with humility, seeking truth, ready to listen. Another opens it as a habit, with a distracted mind, and so the message passes by unnoticed. Allah's guidance is always present, but it only settles where it is welcomed. The same is true for hardships. One person faces a trial and becomes bitter, questioning why life is unfair, closing their heart to any deeper meaning. Another faces the same trial but pauses to reflect, what is Allah teaching me through this? That reflection transforms the hardship into guidance. It turns suffering into growth and pain into purpose. The trial itself was not different. What made the outcome different was the response. Even in everyday situations, you are constantly faced with choices. Someone may give you advice. Do you dismiss it because of pride, or do you consider it sincerely even if it stings? Your conscience may trouble you. Do you silence it with excuses, or do you listen and change? These small decisions accumulate, shaping the trajectory of your life. Each response determines whether you are moving closer to guidance or drifting further away. This is why Allah reminds us repeatedly in the Qur'an that He does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. The signs are there, the reminders are there, the opportunities are there. But if a person insists on ignoring them, then the outcome will reflect that choice. Guidance is not forced upon anyone. It is a gift, but a gift that must be accepted. To recognize a message and then ignore it is more dangerous than not recognizing it at all, because it hardens the heart against future reminders. On the other hand, when you respond with sincerity, even the smallest message can transform your life. A single verse, a single prayer, or a single piece of advice can redirect your path entirely if you are willing to act upon it. The door of change does not require massive effort all at once. It requires sincerity and consistency in responding to the signs you are given. Allah multiplies the impact of small steps taken sincerely, leading you toward greater clarity and stronger faith. There is also an element of trust in responding to guidance. Often the message you receive calls you to do something difficult, letting go of a harmful habit, distancing yourself from certain people, or making a sacrifice that seems painful. Your response in those moments defines your future. If you trust Allah enough to act even when it hurts, you will discover peace and blessings you never imagined. If you hesitate, delay, or ignore, you may lose the opportunity. Guidance is like a door that opens for a time. If you walk through it, you find light. But if you keep turning away, eventually it may close. So the true test of guidance is not in whether Allah sends you messages, because He always does. The true test lies in how you respond. Will you recognize the signs? Will you act upon them? Will you allow them to change you? Or will you ignore them until your heart grows numb? The answer to these questions defines not only the outcome of your life in this world, but also your fate in the next. Guidance is a gift, but the responsibility of response is yours.